Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener, and this is Debbie. This is June 14th, I believe, and beautiful, beautiful day. It is cooler today than it has been in the last several days. We've had 90-degree temperatures or more during the day, with lows in the 60s and 70s at night. They claim that it was in the 50s in some of those nights, but it wasn't. It was in the 70s because I was waking up sometimes in the middle of the night just sweating profusely. But anyway, I'm not going to give a full garden tour or anything update. I just wanted to show everybody that the garden is definitely growing. It has loved the warm temperatures. Even the more cold loving plants have actually liked the warm temperatures and have really put on some major growth. You can see the peas, which are normally more cold weather loving, are just going crazy. We're getting runners now on them, so they will start climbing the trellis. In fact, it's time to start planting probably a second and third row of peas just to keep a succession of planting going. And our onions definitely have been loving it. The tops are getting so big on them, and the new ones that we had just planted have started putting their tops on. And we planted more cucumbers. A lot of those have came up, and I just planted more cucumbers this morning, along with several other herbs and more radishes, things like that. We basically have things stuck all over the garden at this point. My rattlesnake pole beans are now beginning to come up, and they're just now just like sending up their little, we call them just nubs or bends. As you can see right there, they're starting to come up all along the bean trellis area. And I have other trellises in case I need them, but we planted some cucumbers underneath the two green trellises here just to have those climb up as well with the beans. I've never had any issues with them just kind of both climbing trellises at the same time, so we've done that. I might even plant some more cucumbers along the trellis to climb up with the other ones, which I haven't done yet. So all along in this area, I might go ahead and plant some more. And then we've got some butternut squash all along in here that have started coming up. And my red curry squash, I've got two different places that those are planted. You can see those are coming up in there. And everything is just looking great. I've struggled a little bit with these two pepper plants right over here. They just kind of look droopy every day, and for some reason this little square area of the ground here does not stay wet even after watering it. So a little confused on that, but we just keep watering it more. And I've always had a problem with that little area. That's where the artichokes didn't do so well last season. And then we moved the artichokes over into the rosebush area, which they seem to be doing much, much better now. But it doesn't stay wet even if you water it. And I just thoroughly soak it every single time I come out here, but it just still dries up. And I think it's just drainage going back down into more of the tomato area over there. So it's a little bit elevated there, and the soil's a little bit more sandy there. So I'm thinking I'm going to mix in some more compost and potting soil into that area, and maybe put in a little bit more vermiculite and perlite to get some more moisture retention. And the soil tends to be compacted after the first few inches in this area as well. So the perlite will help out with that. So just lots of issues with that little area, but the tomatoes are starting to catch on, and they're growing in that area because I don't need a whole lot of moisture. But the peppers, the two right here, have kind of struggled every day, but they do have peppers on them that have began. You can see one right there, and they are blooming. And I do need to tie the tomatillos up at this point because they are blooming and they're starting to bend over a little bit. We're having a lot of wind today. We've got 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts that are happening right now. There's one that just went through. So kind of watching the tomatoes to see how they're doing because they are blowing around quite a bit. But they were already well acclimated to the breeze, so they don't seem to be bothered by the wind at all. Just the soil tends to dry out quite a bit when wind like this is going on. And a lot of times I say the wind is more damaging than just having dryness in the soil, because I can water the soil and it'll take it quite well. But when it's wind, it's a lot harder to keep the moisture in the soil. So, but this wind is supposed to die down by tomorrow, so I'm hoping that that happens. We'll just have to keep it more watered right now. And we've got the dogs out here just kind of wandering around, and I'm having to pick up sticks and things that you can see are blowing from our pile. And we're supposed to be having that big pile, some of it picked up in the next couple of days. Compost has assured us that they can actually pick up some of that. So we're going to get that done, and that's by the city. Basically everything though is looking fantastic out here in the garden. Potatoes are definitely enjoying what's going on right now with the weather. Next season, I think I'm going to steer away from some of the Kennebec potatoes. They're one of my favorites, but they are a determinate variety. So they only have a number of potatoes and then they die off. But we do have indeterminate varieties out there, if you can find them, that continue to produce for the whole season. So I'm going to look for some of those, maybe some German butterballs, which I haven't tried before. I've not been successful at trying to get the seed potatoes for that. So we're going to try that next season as well as the Kennebec. So that might be something that we can look into, or maybe I can even find some seed potatoes this season and kind of just maybe put them in somewhere. But everything is just enjoying this beautiful yet cooler day, except for the watermelons and cucumbers and things like that. They don't enjoy cooler weather. And tonight it's supposed to be 46 degrees. So that's going to be pushing it with them. Alright, I had to pause it there for a moment because my grandson was missing his mom. She's went for a job interview. So he's down for a nap right now. And his little garden area is doing quite well. He's actually got lettuce that is ready to pick. You can see that there. But we're going to let some of the other lettuce catch up. This will be good for a little while before it starts getting too tough or bitter or anything like that. And so we have his little lettuce area. His pepper is just really taking off and doing well. And the borage that are in the pots, still nice and pretty. And it's just ending up being another tour, but I'm just going to walk around and let everyone see what we've been up to the last few days with cleaning up all of the areas and all of the growth that's been going on with the potatoes and the corn. I did plant more beans. We have Rattlesnake pole beans, as well as Kentucky Wonders and Royal Burgundy beans, all in throughout where the corn is. It will be up in the next few days. And I did plant a load more flowers all around this stump. This is the stump I cannot get out yet. We don't have anything to get the stump out with right now, and we're just going to let it rot off, and eventually it will come out like the other stump that I've gotten out last season. So eventually it will come on out of there, and it's just about to that point. But we did plant way more flowers. I planted a bunch of them around this stump because we can't really do a whole lot with that stump area. We've got the zinnias all up along the front, and I planted some bachelor buttons and some nasturtium around the stump. And we've got all the beans and the corn and all that stuff. The corn is looking great. We still have corn coming up in the back section that is more shaded, but I have seen the shoots. We've actually got one of the rows of corn has went all the way back to the back and has all came up, but the other three are taking a little bit longer because again it's just a little bit more shaded in this area. But I have seen the shoots and they are coming up, so those will be up soon. And we've got all those beans in there. And we've got our Tahitian squash is up. It came up yesterday, just boom. In the morning there was nothing there, and the next day it's there. So we've got our Tahitian squash right there. We've got 4 bunches of them, which is 12 plants. And instead of thinning them out and killing 2 of the plants off, I am going to transplant those into other sections where there is nothing and just let them go ahead and mature on out as well. Our borage is still getting ready to bloom. It's getting a lot taller. It has its bloom heads on it. And we've got some cucumbers that we planted in front of the shallots because the shallots are just about ready to harvest. They're actually getting, some of them have a red color to them down in there. And we did hoe up or hill up. Some people say hill up and we call it hoeing up the potatoes. So we've done that through there, and we did do a little bit of the corn while I was planting the beans. So we've got that going on. And we did plant some more seeds. I've got some poppies in these 3 pots right here that I planted. All mixed colors are called double mix, and they're really big heads. But we did get those planted, and we've gotten 2 more pots here of straight 8 cucumbers that I planted, and got more cucumbers planted at the base of these peppers. We have cucumbers over here. This is a daffodil pot, but we did plant some cucumbers in here because the daffodils have, they sprouted and everything, but it is first season, so they did not bloom or anything. So we're just going to leave those in there. They'll come up next season a lot thicker and bloom, but we planted some cucumbers in here in the meantime, so those are coming up. And our lettuce is looking fantastic. Got lots of lettuce in there, and I may actually go in and plant in some radishes in between each of those lettuce. And I did plant some nasturtium at the very back with a trellis so they can trellis up. And our parsley, this is the triple curl parsley, is definitely coming on now. We didn't have any come up right here, so I'm not real sure about that, so I may go in and plant some more seeds there. I do see a tiny one right in here that is coming up, so I may transplant a couple of those just to thicken it out, or just plant more seed. Probably just more seed. And that plant you see right there is actually a petunia that has came up from seed, so we'll transplant that out of there and then put that into a flower pot so that way it can come on and bloom. It's probably pink or red. All of the cucumbers that were planted at the base of the lemon tree have all came up. The radishes in the big container here have started to head up, so I've seen these are crimson giants, and they've started already heading up, even though the plants are really, really small. They've got little heads on them about that big so far. We planted more cucumbers at the base of these tomato plants. One of them is a sun sugar gold, and the other one is a yellow pear. So we did plant those in there. Our cilantro is just, look at the cilantro, just how healthy that cilantro is, and beautiful. And I'm going to plant some more cilantro out into the garden in little patches, so that way we get plenty of cilantro, or coriander as it's referred to in India. But tomatoes are just looking beautiful now that they have gotten their footing. Cantaloupes, these are the Ball 2076 cantaloupes. They're actually looking really good. The first leaves are starting to fall off, which is typical, but all of the new growth is just looking fantastic. Our alyssum is starting to come up. You can see little plants all through here, and they came up within 2 days. And I have some radishes that actually started coming up in 24 hours, and I'll show you those in just a moment. But looking just beautiful. Everything just wants to grow. We've got more tarragon that is coming up in the pot. This really, really small right now, so it's hard to see, but that is the first tarragon plant, and it's getting pretty big at this point. Just everything. Watermelons looking great. We're getting new leaves on the watermelons, and they're starting to just look like watermelon plants. Everything looking great in the strawberry patch. The plants are thickening up and we have some strawberries on them. And the herb patch out here is just looking fantastic. And we've got some radishes coming up over here. And I did plant some more dill in here. We've got some morning glories that haven't came up yet. And just everything. Salvia is looking amazing. And we do have hummingbirds. And I'm going to be getting a hummingbird feeder. I saw the hummingbirds this morning. And we planted zinnias and sunflowers and cucumbers through here. So those will be all coming up soon. The rose garden area and the artichokes are looking fantastic. I did plant some flowers all along in the back. Bachelor buttons and zinnias and stuff like that are planted back here. And we've got our leeks out here acclimating. And everything just looking fantastic. Just loads and loads of growth. Garden is looking great. And we've got rattlesnake pole beans coming up along the fence here. Just everything looking beautiful. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out. And we will see you in the next one.